All right, let's just dive right into this massive 2026 Cyclospora outbreak. If you've been watching the news lately, you have probably seen the headlines about this nasty gastrointestinal illness sweeping across the country this summer. And honestly, it's frustrating, it's confusing, and quite frankly, it's making a lot of us side-eye our salad bowls. So today, we're breaking down the science and the data from the CDC and medical research for a clear, no-nonsense explainer on what this parasite actually is, why your standard produce wash is completely useless against it, and how you can actually keep your family safe.
To really put the scale of this outbreak into perspective, just look at Michigan. They alone have reported over 1,251 cases since late June. I mean, that is a staggering 25 times their normal baseline of about 50 cases a year. And remember, that's literally just one state.
Public health departments everywhere, like Michigan's MDHS right here, are urgently putting out advisories as national cases surge well past 2,000, hitting at least 31 states. And to make matters worse, as recent reports point out, national surveillance for this specific bug was actually made optional a year ago. So yeah, these massive numbers, probably just the tip of the iceberg.
So, the crucial thing right now is knowing how to protect yourself based on the actual facts, not just panic. Which is exactly why we're counting down the 5 key things you absolutely need to know about this parasite today. The parasite itself, why it's about produce and not people, the prolonged symptoms, why washing doesn't work, and the specific treatment.
Okay, starting our countdown with thing number 1, the parasite. Meet Cyclospora cayetanensis. This is the microscopic, single-celled pathogen causing all this havoc. It specifically targets your small intestine, particularly the jejunum, where it just moves in, multiplies, and causes intense inflammation. But to get why it's so incredibly stubborn, we have to look at how it travels.
It actually enters your body hiding inside what's called an oocyst. You can think of this like a tiny, microscopic, incredibly sticky suit of armor. This capsule is wildly resilient. It fiercely resists environmental stress, and because of its physical makeup, it basically refuses to let go of the microscopic little crevices on your fresh produce.
But here's a really fascinating biological twist for you. Once it's expelled in human feces, this oocyst is actually not dangerous right away. It has to go through a maturation process called sporulation out in the environment, usually hanging out in soil or agricultural water. And that process takes anywhere from a few days to a couple of weeks before it can even infect anyone else.
Which brings us right to thing number 2, produce, not people. Because of that mandatory waiting period out in the dirt, the way you normally think about catching a stomach bug is actually completely wrong for Cyclospora.
You absolutely cannot catch this from a sick family member. No way. You aren't going to get it from sharing a bathroom, holding hands, or touching a dirty doorknob. So, frantically scrubbing down your house with bleach if someone gets sick, not going to help. The transmission route is strictly fecal-oral via contaminated food and water. The true risk is sitting right there in your produce drawer, not on your kitchen counter. Moving on to thing number 3, prolonged, relapsing symptoms. Now, the incubation period here is super tricky. It usually strikes an average of about a week, but sometimes up to 2 weeks after you ate the contaminated food. That huge delay makes it notoriously hard for people to connect, say, the side salad they ate last Wednesday to the awful symptoms they're having today.
And the symptoms themselves are very distinct. Unlike your standard 24-hour stomach bug, Cyclospora causes prolonged, explosive watery diarrhea, severe fatigue, stomach cramps, and even unintended weight loss. But the real hallmark here is how it relapses. You might actually start to feel better for a few days, making you think, okay, I'm finally over it, right? Right before it aggressively comes back. Without treatment, this grueling roller coaster can drag on for a whole month or even longer.
And these relapsing symptoms are usually linked to some very specific, high-risk raw produce. We're talking fresh raspberries and blackberries, leafy herbs like basil and cilantro, snow peas, and yep, those super convenient pre-washed bagged salad mixes. These outbreaks are incredibly seasonal too, with over 90% of domestic cases happening right now during this peak May to August window. Which leads us to honestly the most shocking part of this whole explainer. Thing number 4, washing doesn't work. This is exactly why your standard food safety habits are failing you. I mean, we all know we're supposed to wash our fruits and veggies, right? So, let me ask you this. Do you think that vigorously washing your berries under the tap or maybe soaking them in one of those fancy commercial vegetable washes actually removes this parasite?
Well, the stark scientific answer is no. Remember that sticky little armor, that oocystwall we just talked about? Turns out it's practically invincible against standard sanitizing. Water, chlorine, household bleach, and commercial produce washes just do not kill or reliably remove these oocysts from the tiny textured surfaces of your leafy greens and berries.
As the medical literature points out, the absolute only proven kill step to break down that tough oocyst wall and neutralize the threat is heat. Thorough cooking, baking, or boiling. That's it. So simply swapping out your raw bagged salad for cooked vegetables is a ridiculously low-effort, high-impact way to completely eliminate your risk during an active summer outbreak.
And finally, we arrive at thing number 5, specific antibiotic treatment. This is exactly what you need to do if you or a vulnerable family member gets sick. Because while healthy adults might eventually fight it off, it's way more dangerous for pregnant people, young kids, the elderly, or anyone immunocompromised. Dehydration and malnutrition for being sick for weeks are really serious threats here.
If you even suspect Cyclospora, you cannot just ride this out with some sports drinks and hope for the best. First, you have to specifically ask your doctor for a Cyclospora test, which often means PCR DNA testing, because standard stool panels miss it all the time. Second, if you are positive, you need targeted antibiotics, usually something called Bactrim. Your standard over-the-counter anti-diarrhea meds are not going to cure the root parasite. And third, you need to focus on rigorous hydration under a doctor's guidance.
So, knowing that this parasite completely defies basic washing, literally survives standard chemicals, and causes weeks of relapsing misery, how are you going to change up your family's grocery haul and dinner menu during this dangerous peak season? Are you going to make the swap to cooked veggies until the fall? Honestly, it is a tiny change that could literally save you a month of misery. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and please, stay safe out there.